O programa de hoje é muito especial. Ele traz Keith Richards, o guitarrista do maior grupo de rock do mundo, os Rolling Stones. Considerado um gênio da música, Keith Richards diz que o grande milagre é ele ainda estar vivo depois de tudo que passou e de todas as drogas que tomou. Com vocês, a história do rock, o mito, a lenda, Keith Richards. Keith Richards, on stage, several times, you do like this sign. No, you do.
Yeah, from the head to the heart.
Yeah.
To everybody. It makes it possible.
Are you a religious person?
Not in an organized sense. No, but I give my thanks and I give my praises. You know.
This is from the.
This is for what they give me. This is they make it possible for me to do this. You see.
Your head.
So I give it to them. You know, I give thanks and praises by my heart. I'm with you.
You said that women love your voice more than men.
Yeah, they tend to like it more than I don't say they love it, but women tend to like my voice. Guys, maybe that's why guys don't like it. I mean, when I get a review, you know, of a show, if a chick's written it, she'll find something in there and she'll say, well, you know, there's some character in there, or it's a very interesting voice. We know it ain't, you know. I Pavarotti, I ain't, you know.
It's easy being a legend.
A legend. I never think about it. I don't know. I mean, I live with me. I get up and I have to shave this thing, you know. I mean, I ain't looking at any legend.
You don't carry with you this big image, do you?
No, I say it's, to me, an image is something that you drag around, and it's part of it's you, so you can't cut it loose entirely. But a lot of it's a long shadow, you know.
The hardest is being alive.
Yeah, and then the danger is to like not become that image, you know. Because if you start to believe that as well, then you become a parody, you know. You become a caricature, you know, and that.
I notice in your whole career, you're very aware not to fake.
Yeah, I hate phony and fake, and after all, I'm in the entertainment business, which is full of. I mean, it's fake, but that's what it is.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And trying to ride that line between reality and fake. Because I'm very theatrical. You know, I've been on the stage for 30 years.
But it's different to be theatrical and
it's
fake.
Different, yeah. I mean, to me, it has to be natural at the same time. Real theatre is natural. You know? And I admire real theatre very much, whether it's music or, you know, drama or movies or whatever.
But people, they treat you like a king, like someone who is in
Isn't it marvelous?
With God, you know, like it's a primal, a tribal thing, isn't it?
I know, I have to watch it, you know, I mean, it's, people, if they start to treat you like that, as they say, the dangerous thing is starting to believe it. You know, I mean, I'm very thankful, you know, that people like what I do, and they enjoy it, because I give it all I got. You know, and I've got the guys to do it with. I know how to put people together. I put the best bands in the world together. You know, I've got two now.
You got two. That's great. You have this image of Prince of Darkness.
Menacing.
Yeah, you have. It's.
I know, and then I'm very charming, and people get confused, right?
What is your own image that you feel like?
I'm both of them. I'm the demon, and I'm the angel.
You have the both sides.
Yeah, my problem in life is to make those two talk to each other.
They fight together.
Sometimes. You know?
You feel you seem to you're attracted to the underbelly of the town.
Yeah,
you know, the dark side.
I guess maybe because that's where I spent most of my time. Or a lot of it, anyway.
But at the same time, you were a powerful guy.
Yeah, to me, I've never thought that I did anything that didn't need to be done. You know, I never thought that I was pushing myself. I can understand other people seeing me in several stages of my life thinking he's gone. You know, I mean, I was #1 on the death list for years. You know, I mean, it's one of my It's the longest. I stayed at the top of the chart.
You were known as the most famous junkie in the world.
Exactly, yeah. Which is but I gave that up. I gave somebody else can do that now. But yeah, for I was the 70s was there was a lot of junk, and but I went through that, and I learned a lot of things, and maybe that's made me more what I am today than. I don't look upon it as a bad period. It was
a period of sex, drugs, and rock. The famous slogan.
Well, it was like finding out what it's all about. I mean, I was 19. I was suddenly, my teenage dreams came true. Suddenly, I want to be a rock and roller. I love to play like that. The music first for me, And,
first of all is music.
First of all is the music. I mean, I would be playing it if I was a plumber now. I'd go home and play guitar. But suddenly, I'm listening to these guys. So when I was growing up, Elvis, Buddy Holly, Chuck Berry, Little Richard, and just to get to make a record, man, I would, I'd sell it. I'd sell the soul, and I probably did without knowing, So I'll pay later.
Did you search in drugs?
I don't know. I'm not sure if it's really a search. See,
were you looking for something?
I've got two views on it. One is that I'm a musician, and that if you're a musician, drugs are part of every dressing room. I mean, when I first came to America, and we were working 350 days a year, crossing this country in a truck. And you'd sometimes do 2 shows a day, and you'd be working with all these different bands, there'd be these old black guys sitting there, and they've got more energy than you. I'm 19, this guy's 50, and he's popping, and I'm dead. And so you sit around with the cats, and hey man, like, how do you do this? And well, sure, you take one. But so it kind of there's that aspect of it, and then the other aspect of the drug thing, I guess, is. I was very 19th century about drugs, I'd be like De Quincey, or I'm in a laboratory, let's see what this does,
Yeah, a curiosity.
Yeah,
you want to find more and more and
but
more.
That's what killed the cat.
The curiosity killed the cat. Kills the cat.
So, I was close, I've used up a few of the 9 lives, but maybe not all yet,
But the cat is still alive. The tiger, let's say, the tiger. And what did you find out? You said, I learned a lot.
I mean, if there was a search involved, it was to find myself, I suppose. I mean, what else is there to look for? If you don't know who you are, you can't know anybody else's.
Sure.
See, so first I got to find out who I am, and then I can, I guess it was kind of that. And also being a superstar, I didn't, the Stones really are not really like that at all. Charlie Watts hates lights on him, being a star. He's a drummer, and he's a musician, and everything else is bullshit to him, And there's a certain side of me that is like that, but there's also the other side of me that likes to get out and say it goes like this, So as I say, it's angels and demons. Everybody's got them inside, and it's the conversation that you hold with yourself, which is the most important one. Good conversation.
And this conversation, this kind of helps your creative process.
Yeah, it gives me some good ideas for songs, because I say some ridiculous things to myself.
Oh, really?
Well, I guess, the last one, there's a demon in me. I finally admit it, I write songs from some of the conversations I have with my demons, and some that I have with my angels, and then some that I have with my daughters, and some that I have with my wife, and some that I have with old girlfriends, and some with old friends, and some people, I don't know who I'm talking to, maybe my ancestors, I don't know.
Yeah, what is your process, your creating process like? What time do you compose?
Erratic. There's
Erratic?
no time. I just pick up a guitar.
Erratic like stars are.
Yeah, but I don't think anybody really writes songs. I don't think you create them. I think they're already there, you see. They're just flying through this room right now. They go through walls, they come downstairs, they go through iron curtains, they go through everywhere. And really I see myself as an antenna, a receiver, you know. And so I pick up my guitar, I sit at the piano, and I'll play my favourite songs, you know, I'd go Buddy Holly, or I'll do some Nat King Cole, you know.
You like
and after
Nat King Cole. What are
hour,
your favourite songs, for instance?
there's too many to mention, darling. There's just too, you know, I grew up listening to a lot of jazz and a lot of classical music when I was a kid. You know, because in England, that's really, my mother liked jazz, so I heard a lot of that. And also the BBC, that was all you got in England. You got a lot of classical music. So, and a musician is only the result of what he hears.
And when did you find out that you could write songs?
It never occurred to me. I found out by total accident. Suddenly, you know, the Rolling Stones were a blues band. We played Chicago blues. We were a bunch of kids that said, this is the best music in the world. Everybody should hear it. And we'll do, since the real stuff isn't around, we'll do our best to recreate it. And then suddenly we're famous, and suddenly we're stars, you know, and it's the Beatles and the Stones. And Andrew Oldham, our manager at the time, said, well, you've had a hit record, an album, but we're going to need songs, you know, because we can't keep on doing other, you know, old songs, you know, there's only so many in there, you know. So he said to Mick and myself, he said, look, you go into the kitchen, take the guitar, and I'll lock you in, and you come out with a song.
Do it.
You know, okay, anything to keep the manager happy. You know, we went, and we came out a few hours later with As Tears Go By, which Marianne Faithfull, in 6 weeks it was in the top 10 in England, you know. So then Mick and I started to look at each other and go,
they can do it.
Maybe we can, you know. To me, before that, being a songwriter, I'm a guitar player. Songwriter's another job, you know. There's the blacksmith and there's the plumber and there's the electrician, you know. And to me, it was a totally separate thing. And so I really have to credit Andrew Oldham with the initial impetus to, you know, say, well, don't come out, you can't come out. He said, well, you know, I'd like to go to the toilet, you know. No, you can't come out, you know, well, I'll end the window, you know. So you've got to come out with a song, right?
It's a task. And you said that you work mainly to calm down the creature inside of you.
Yeah, I do. I think I do most everything in order to calm him down, you know. Because he's restless.
Tell me about this creature. I want to know
it. It's right now he's down there waiting to get on stage, you know. In a couple of hours.
And going to these dark areas inside of you, have you ever feel really scared?
No, I was only really scared when I was a kid here and there, but I did all my scare, you know. You can get to learn to live with fear. I was a small guy when and when I was at school, because I'm born in December. That meant in England that you went to school with guys a year older than you. If you know, it's just one of those stupid things, you know. So you were always the little guy. So I used to get the crap beaten out of me all the time, you know. I mean, I had, you know, until I figured out, you know, so then you've got to figure out, you say, well, I'm not big enough to be, so I've got to use this.
Yeah.
So I guess I learned a lot, and that's when the time I was scared, was being cornered by three guys, you know, in a dark place, you know, and you know, so, well, I'm going to get a beating, you know, boom, 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 and so you learn how to take your beatings, and then you learn how to deliver them, and then people leave you alone, and you can get on with what you do, you know, but fear left me a long, long time ago.
Oh, really? Even
it's always around. You always use it. I mean, fear is a very important thing in people's lives. If you don't feel it, you can walk right into. You can go out the window. You know. I mean, if you're not scared of anything,
yeah,
I mean, it's a warning. It's an important thing. It's there, but I mean, to me, I use it just. You know, it's like a smoke alarm. You know.
I can understand because you went through very wild times and I mean you explore everything.
At least I saw the world and I led an interesting life so far, you know. And to me that's important.
But you never been afraid of going mad, really mad. I mean.
I think I'm totally mad anyway. So there was
no, you're not.
But I'm never sure about anybody's idea of sanity. You know, I mean it's what everybody agrees upon.
But do you fear insanity?
No, not at all. No, I don't really think there's such a thing. I think there's certain imbalances that people can get. But I mean, insanity itself, you can only drive yourself mad. Nobody else can drive you mad, you know.
But weren't you afraid of losing yourself forever? Losing your...
Are you?
Hmm?
Are you?
Oh, I could be.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So you know what I'm talking about. It's a hard
really
question.
Could
you know,
be.
it's a good question, but it's a hard one to answer because, you know, I might turn around in a minute and go berserk. In fact, why I say I probably am mad is that in 2 hours I'm going to be on that stage doing all of that stuff, and I have no idea what I'm going to do.
I understand, but I mean, but you keep control. I can see that you keep control. You are on control of everything.
I guess I try to be. I guess I am, but I tell you what, there's nothing that I do and have ever done, either with the Stones or with the Expensive Winos, that isn't really a total effort between everybody that I'm working with. And it's not even just the musicians, the band, it's the guys doing the sound, the lights. I mean, the whole thing has to work, you know. This is the only way you get things like this to work. And with the Stones, I do the same thing. It's they're family to me, you know. I mean, there's nobody's, you know, everybody supports everybody. There's no way I could do what I do in either of those bands without that total feeling of support that you can lean on the next guy and that he's going to go this way, or if he needs, there's an intuitive understanding. It's like an ESP thing, and I guess maybe we get hooked on that working the way we do, is that you, on stage you can go into an area where you're kind of 3 feet off the ground and you know what's going to happen even though you don't know what you're going to do.
But you have this kind of
But it's
big
the time
freedom.
slows down and you have this freedom, and it's all slow motion, you know, and it's also fluid and easy, and that's when you know you're working with the right people.
When you were really on drugs,
Yeah, really.
those times,
Yes.
have you ever said, God, please save me?
No, I've never looked to him to be saved. So far as I'm concerned, God is on probation. You know, I'm not too sure about it, but at the same time, I acknowledge his existence. You know, but sometime him and me are going to have a good talk, you know, and I look forward to that, you know, but not too soon. You're very beautiful, you know that?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And so you never said, don't let me die. You never, you've never scared of being too close to death?
I've been scared of dying. I mean, I've seen it come and go. I've crashed cars, turned them over I mean, I've left the building, I've left the house. I've watched myself potentially crushed to death and shot several times. There's another story. But it didn't happen, so I came back in, you know. But what I find is that you leave. If you're really scared, you ain't even there. You're watching from above, you know, which is an interesting sort of piece of information to have.
For sure.
But I mean, it might. I mean, maybe if you do die, maybe then it just goes. I don't know. But all I know is that anytime I've thought I'm a goner, that I'm watching it all from quite a long way away, you know, and seeing if it's cool or not to come back. You know.
Have you never thought about suicide?
Gee, why? Why should I? Good, no, good Lord, woman. You must be crazy.
You're right. Goddamn right.
Well, I guess if you put it under a microscope, but I really, I never, as I said before, I never really thought that I was endangering myself. Everybody else might have thought so, because everybody, as I say, that's what, if they were doing what I was doing, it might have killed them.
For sure.
But I know where I'm coming from, how I'm built.
How come did you survive?
Well, because I knew that I was nowhere near doing that. It was just that everybody shouldn't do what I did. And the only thing you can do is like know yourself. To me, I was nowhere near a danger. I mean, if I'd have thought I was, believe me, I want to stay alive. You know, I mean, there was no way I was going to croak for some dope. You know, and I mean, you can walk out this door now and get run over by a bus. You know, anything can happen. So I don't tempt fate at all. But I can understand other people thinking I do, and I certainly don't want to encourage other people to think that they can do things the same way I did, because there's all different reasons and different circumstances.
What did you do to get away from all this?
I got fed up with it, and I was facing hard time in a Canadian jail, you know. And I realized that I was screwing what I wanted to do. I was screwing the band up, I was screwing my family up, and that it was time to stop. So I stopped.
When was it?
77.
And how hard was to pull back from
this edge? Well, I'd stopped many times before. I just kept going back. The hardest thing is not to go back. But I guess the way I did it, I mean, I never went to any, I don't talk to just NAs or societies or go and talk to therapy and all this crap, you know.
No, nothing.
No, I mean, to me, I got off when, see, by then all my friends were junkies anyway. And they were all trying, so they would come and try and put me back on and say, have a hit, you know. And I would get off on watching their face when I said no. And that kept me going, you know, that, just say, you really mean no? I don't want it, man. I don't want it. And to watch them change in front of me, that's what, you know, until then I forgot about it. You know, I don't need this crap anymore, you know. I've done that. I've done everything. And,
I know it.
You know?
And any little inner demon saying, come on, try me.
Yeah, but, you know, maybe that's when I mastered him, and now he does as he's told, you know. Maybe that was up until that point, he was running the show, and I was doing what I was told, you know, but that's when I mastered him, you know. Gotcha, and then he's going to stay there.
No temptation.
Oh, no, I mean, now, so people are very, you know, it makes me sick. So I've definitely done it, you know, I mean, it's
And
boring.
how could, during the really drug times, how could you be such a good professional? Because you kept working a lot.
I don't know, I'm very strong.
And be always in time and doing all the appointments.
Pretty much. I mean, I screwed up a couple of times, you know, but, yeah, as I say, to me, it wasn't that, I wasn't that close to my own edge, you know. I could, you know, it was, if I thought it was affecting what I did or how I played, or which maybe it did, but in subtle ways, but it wouldn't stop me from doing what I wanted to do. If it was doing that, I wouldn't take it anyway. And usually when I worked on stage, I would stop taking the stuff and would do a tour. It was when the tour, you see, for me, working in a band and working with guys becomes so involved and intricate and tight, and then suddenly it stops. And you've been 2 years working nearly every day, you know, and you've been with the same people, and it's a whole tight little bubble and everything's, and then suddenly it stops, and you're left at home. And you get the blues, you know, you get depressed. I'll get it next week when this tour finishes, I know, but I can deal with it now. But then I would go straight to the dope. That would get me, that's what I used to get over, you know, the whole thing. Yeah, so this is the way I am.
Because you feel depressed when you're not working.
Yeah, and also suddenly you miss everybody that you've been seeing, you know, then you get used to it. Where's Joe, where's Fred, where's Mick, where's Charlie, where's Brian, blah, blah, you know, I mean, whatever. And suddenly they're all gone. And you're thinking, oh great, I can relax at home now, and but at the same time there's a feeling of unreality for a while, and I would get it. That was how I used to deal with it. Was I go to the stuff.
You're too restless to
Yeah, it's adrenaline. I think really. I mean, that's really what it is. It's on stage. You make the best drug in the world is adrenaline. You can only make it yourself. You know, and it's your own, and that's, I guess, what does it. You know.
I'm sure you make a
lot. And so
lot.
it would be an adrenaline come down that I have to deal with, and I still have to deal with it, but I don't deal with it chemically anymore.
I understand. You do your own stuff a lot.
Yeah.
And you said that music is in the first place. What is in the second place?
In the second place,
music.
Music.
Because
I mean, I love my wife, you know, and I mean, how can I not put her first? But I mean, I've got to say that without music, I wouldn't be here, and I wouldn't know, and we wouldn't be talking. I wouldn't know my. But so I guess my family and my friends is third. You know, my family, music, family, friends, and it's very hard to separate those three things.
I understand. Talking about family, what are you going to say to your kids about drugs? Talking about family, what are you going to say to your kids about drugs? You said that you are the supreme example.
Well, I mean, really, you should talk. Yeah, you should really. I mean, you should see my son. Man is 23 and doesn't take anything, but grew up with me as a junkie father, and he was on the road with me. Everybody said, "This kid, forget about it." You know, I mean, how's he gonna? And he's this man straight as bone. Just, I mean, you don't hide. What you do with kids is you don't lie to them. All right? If you're doing, you tell them what you're doing, and you say, Brenda, this has nothing to do with it. And so my kids grow up, they dope to them is like, oh, that's what Dad did. You know, it's silly. You know, I mean, it wasn't good for him. You know, so they know it ain't good for them. You know, and so you can learn by example, good ones and bad ones. You know, but the first thing is love.
What was your childhood like? Full of love? Or
I don't know. I was very affectionate, but I was an only child, right? I mean, they only made one of this. You know, there's no brothers or sisters, you know.
They couldn't do two.
So I grew up with my mother and father, you know. I mean, and in that way, I mean, it's kind of weird, you know, because nearly everybody has brothers and sisters, you know. So, I mean, I guess maybe a lot of me is to do with that. But at the same time, the extended family, my aunts and my grandfather, and I mean, very strong, you know. I mean, my grandfather is probably Gus Dupree, my mother's father. He was the one who turned me onto playing guitar. He's a musician, you know. So family is very important because they decide probably what you're going to, a lot of what it is you're going to be like.
Now you said you have this steady relationship. You love your wife. You seem.
I always love my wives.
Yeah, yeah, all of them.
Still do, and they all get together and talk about me, which is like another miracle.
Why?
Well, because most people get divorced and pay money and hate each other when they leave each other. You see, but I ain't that way.
And what is your routine like?
There is none.
There isn't it?
Unless I'm on the road, you know, and people that don't, you've got to be on stage. At home, no, I do whatever I want.
Main offender. You said that you were the main offender. Why?
Well, because for many years, if there was any trouble around, people would point their finger at me, you know. So. And it's one of those names. That's the heat. It's New York.
Oh, it's New York.
Yeah.
And a little noise from New York. Okay, let's go.
It's the knee.
Yeah, my knee. That's it.
My rotating cup.
You are not in good shape, boy.
I'm a main offender, you know what I mean?
And so, and can you compare this band, your band, the Expensive?
The Expensive Winos, to the Stones, you mean?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, with the Stones, there's more white people.
Oh, well, it makes any difference?
Not really, but to me, that's the that is the only difference. Otherwise, they're my friends, and we get tighter and tighter. And it's the same with the Stones. Mick and I have a very strange relationship because we've known each other since we were 4 years old. You know, so in a way, if I have a brother, in that sense, it's Mick. Although we weren't always together, but I've known him that long.
Yeah.
And guys that know each other that long are always a little.
Since
but Mick and I had it, and that's one of the conflicts and one of the interesting things about the Stones is how Mick and I play off of each other, you know.
But actually, your fights with Mick are very famous.
Yeah.
It's what a kind of love and hate stuff.
Kind of. That's what I mean about the tension between us.
It's what is competition.
I always think that it's him. You know, I think that he's a power freak and will do anything to get his own way, whether it's right or wrong. And I always think that I'm protecting the band. That's my view of it. Mick's view would probably be the same, but except he would be in my place and I.
Yeah, sure.
So, but we reconciled all of that. I mean, we know that what we do know is that when we get together and work, that it's a load of fun. That we still have loads of things to do. You know.
What's Mick Jagger's main defect?
Which one do you want to start with?
Do we have time?
I don't want to get into it. It's easy to pick holes in people. I mean, Mick's he's an incredible guy. Maybe his main defect is he doesn't know how good he is and really what he's good at. And if I could leave it at that, that would be a pleasure. Because that, I think, that if he knew a little bit more about what he was really good at, that it would be a lot easier life for him. You know?
And what is your main defect?
My main defect. It's better to ask me. Probably better ask me. I personally don't think I've got it.
No defect at all.
But no, I know I do. No, I can get. My main defect is that it takes me hours to wake up.
Oh,
which
really?
is why I never used to go to sleep.
What time do you wake up at?
What I do is the time doesn't matter. It just takes me. You see, Ivan Neville, who plays piano with the Winos, for instance, this guy can be in a deep sleep and just get up and play brilliant music and then go back to sleep. Which I admire because I'm totally the opposite. If I go to sleep, then 4 or 5 hours for me to really be decent to people and.
Yeah,
when I go down, and so it takes me a while to get
up.
I couldn't just sort of wake up now and go on stage in an hour. You know, I have to sort of see some of the day.
But you are really in shape, you know, on stage. I can tell you.
It's really ballet now, isn't it?
Yeah,
so they say I'm not aware of it. See, I'm just doing what I do and the way it feels.
Yeah,
and it's feeling so good that I guess I'm moving more, you know, but I really am not thinking about it. And then I'm starting to read reviews in the New York Times about...
Wonderful review,
and I'm looking, is this rock and roll review or is this choreography?
Yeah, you see?
Yeah. But I know, it's just trying
Are you happy with the good reviews?
Oh, of course.
For sure,
especially
for sure.
When everybody gets, I like reviews that say what's happening, who's playing... where and what you've done is rather than their opinion. It's a funny thing, reviewers. You know.
Mick Jagger did his solo career, did you feel...
Done it now. He's done it now.
It's done. Did you feel betrayed by him?
I guess, yeah, that's the other thing. That I would never be doing this solo. To me, it's a fierce, loyal thing, a band, first one to start. You don't leave my bands. Like, you only leave my band in a coffin. You know what I mean? That's the way it is. Mick Taylor escaped. But so to me, yeah, it was. I guess that's why I wouldn't be the first one to have done solo work. I did it because Mick was doing it, and I had nothing else to do. So in a way, I can't sit around and do nothing. Because maybe there I could go insane. Maybe that's the spot where if I had nothing to do and I just sat around waiting for somebody else to say, I'm ready to work with you again, you know, that I couldn't take. So in a way, Mick forced me to do this. It's all his fault. See?
Good.
You see, that's another defect he's got.
Why did you call him Brenda?
Because sometimes he acts like a chick called Brenda, you know what I mean?
Really?
Yeah, it's not just me, everybody calls him Brenda.
So, now you have your satisfaction back.
Yeah.
And you
yeah,
say,
I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go with the Stones in the next month or two. I go straight out of this. I've never worked so hard in my life, and but I'm happy. You know, really. You know, the Whiners, as a band, this bunch of guys are incredible, and there's no way they're going to go away. I mean, I have to go back to the Stones, but there's no way that, I mean, this band gets back together again as well, you know, and now I don't know which one I love more, and it's the, you know,
do you have to do any
my heart is torn.
Do you have to choose?
No, but
you can keep both.
Yeah, but that's...
But what are you going to say to Mick? Like, you see,
I don't know.
I told you.
I'll wait to listen to what he has to say, and while I look at him, and I'll start to figure it out. I don't know. It's all played by ear, you know. But Mick and I know. We know. I speak to Mick every other, you know, few
you should
days.
Say, you can do it without me, baby.
Yeah, but I don't want to. I want to do it with him.
And do it. We are waiting for. Thank you very, very much for your interview.
Thank you.
Very, very nice to meet you. Let me do your sign. Here, here.
You got it, babe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
You're great. I know. I knew it.
All right. Of course.
Chin chin.
Yeah.
Just chin chin. Bless you.
Yes, to you, darling. What are you doing later?
Ah.
That's a rock and roll joke.